How big
I
was the
ruined
day one
something for
update?
myself with the Last of Us 2 art book when I opened it before I clicked it. Sorry, Matt. What did you say?
So how big was the day one update?
2 gig? Yeah. It took my internet fucking forever to download it. I can't wait to actually get internet. This internet fucking sucks. Watching the rental.
It was 90 gigs on the disc. It took me, I don't know how long to download. About 70 minutes? 70 minutes on the console to rip it from the disc onto the console.
Well, it doesn't take 70 minutes to make us say that we are live, gentlemen. Welcome to Pixel Pints. We are the only global gaming podcast that talks about two great things, which is great beer and video games. I'm your host, Mitch. Yes, I am back in the hosting chair. McWomble is out on what we call a happy birthday to you. Happy birthday. Yeah. Come on. You guys don't know that song? We're not the singing pints anymore. Is that not? Okay, I guess not.
We have not had that much to drink yet.
Well, I'll say I respect him for a sacrifice. Being on his podcast, he would ruin it if it was his birthday. So
there you
sacrifice is beautiful.
Hopefully, we didn't get a copyright strike for that song. Because I just sung it, so whatever.
It sounded exactly like the original.
Exactly.
You hit all the good notes.
Yeah. Oh, I like that. Okay. Welcome to Good Beer and Video Games. I'm hosting Mitch from the dark LA because it is morning time now in LA. And I am joined by our astounding guests from around the world, our astounding crew, should I say. Some in baby rooms, some in kitchens, some in rooms we do not understand. But if you want to watch us, we are live each and every single weekend at twitch.tv/pixelpints. And you can follow us on Twitter and you'll know when we go live. If you follow us on Twitter, which is pixel_pints, or on Instagram at pixelpintspod. You can also find us on YouTube. We archive every single episode on YouTube, and you just go find Pixel Pints. You look for that green little mug with some pixel coming out of it as foam, and you got the right spot. If not, you can check out every podcast servicer. We are everywhere. We probably shouldn't be everywhere, but we are. So enjoy, because it's so worth it. Yeah, I'm Mitch. I'm your host here in LA, and I am joined by let's go across the pond. I always go to the land of the rising sun, but screw that. Let's go the other way. We're going to the pond. We're going to go see Dan in the baby room with some ironing. What have you been ironing recently?
Work shirts, ready to return to work on Monday. But yeah, no, I've just had a week off, but it's been curtailed by doing anything because of COVID, thankfully. Well, not thankfully, annoyingly, I mean. I was supposed to go down and see my sister this weekend, but actually, as it turned out, we had a mega storm down south anyway, in the west coast of England. We had a bit of a breeze yesterday, but it wasn't anything that too stormy or too horrendous. But it was quite bad. A few people sadly lost their lives, so we probably wouldn't have gone down south anyway. So I suppose maybe it was never supposed to happen. But yeah, apart from that, I've played not The Last of Us, that's a lot of rubbish. Cyberpunk 2077, the demo this week. Decision not going to buy after 5 hours. And I've just started about 4 hours, maybe 4/5 hours into Horizon Zero Dawn. I'm loving every minute of it. It's like returning to an old friend.
What old friend? How are you returning to an old friend when you were talking about playing the first game?
Sorry, Forbidden West. Thank you, mate.
You're welcome. And let's go back. Let's go to the other person across the pond. Let's go, Liam. How we doing?
Oh, hello. I'm doing great. Now, I know some people died in the storm. I was out in the storm all day yesterday. I had a lot of fun. Wheelie bins and flower pots going all over the place. It was great. I had a wonderful day, and doesn't mean that the people that lost their lives wasn't tragic and everything. But I'm just going to say, on the bright side, I had a great day out yesterday, and I'm going to have a great day today because I get to play Horizon. Just being honest, You know,
It just might be a UK thing. They're all playing Horizon because we ain't touching it at the moment for some reasons. For some reasons or not. We got all the way in Viva Las Vegas, Matthew. Yes, I'm going to be just like McWomble and call you Matthew instead of Matt. Enjoy it for this episode while it lasts.
Yeah, so normally this would be the part where I talk about the weather in Vegas. I'm going to bypass that. As a founding member of the Beerumvirate and a founding member of Pixel Pints, I have I'm going to do a little shameless self-promotion on the show today. So I've been working on a project just in my own spare time, and I have published
Amazing.
a novella. It's actually not my work. It's Anthem by Ayn Rand, but I did a significant edit to the work to try and bring the text up to a more modern English standard from the 1930s that it was written in. And I'm kind of proud of it because the project was to figure out what do you need to do to publish a book. So I did everything from the typesetting to the cover design to all that kind of stuff. And so, yeah.
And where can we get this if we are one that wants to see your magic project?
Barnes and Noble, Amazon. It's on Google. If you want to get an ebook, you can buy it there.
So it's Anthem by who?
Ayn Rand, and then it's edited by myself, Matthew Kane.
Very, very,
Wow.
very, very good.
by Ayn Rand, not EA Games. Stop it.
Well, now we can go to the land of the rising sun. But we always know the sun is shining on him constantly because he's in the gym pulling up those muscles, getting those arms ready to go, getting the guns, so that when McWomble takes over this chair, he can gush over your shirtless body constantly. For some reason, I will
never do that again. By the way,
I don't understand why,
Thank God that was
but
off
it
the
just
air.
happens. So we have Evan Piotrowski. How are we doing, Evan?
Good. It's actually a pretty crappy day in Kyoto. It's been raining and windy all day. But yeah, I'm doing fine. I listened to the last episode, and at some point during the end, McWomble had posed a question to the panel of what game do you see yourself playing when you're 40? And Mitch's answer was, I'd like to be in bed with a V. He didn't ask you when you're 65. He asked you when you're 40. Like, I'm 3 years away from 40. I can still do 50 push-ups and run 12K fine. I was like, what is he talking? In bed? Like,
Yeah.
you bedridden? Like, what happened?
Have you not seen?
So,
okay. For reference, have you not seen Sword Art Online? Because that's basically what the game I was pitching is. That's what I'm pitching.
Okay.
Oh, well, that's cool.
Like literally
I
lay
see what
in
you're
bed
saying
with a headgear set, and you can completely interact without having to move your body. And seeing, I only say this because I've seen so many videos this Christmas of grandmas playing with the VR headsets, and like especially when they play the tightrope game, and everyone says "Jump, Grandma, jump!" and she jumps and she like hits the counter, and you're like, "We killed Grandma, guys! We killed Grandma with the VR set." I don't want to die from VR. I just want to be in my bed and be comfortable playing VR.
And the power goes out and you get comatose.
You got you got 24 years before retirement, but at the ripe age of 40, you're in bed with your VR.
Absolutely, would not
you
have it any
do
other
whatever
way.
Okay.
Chewing on
Alright.
ibuprofens like candy.
Yeah, popping some ibuprofen.
Well, like I said, we're a crew that talks about two great things. I'm a little disappointed in this crew because I feel like I am not Keith. So therefore, someone should ask me how I'm doing, but no one did. So I'm just gonna move on because apparently, I'm Keith.
The host doesn't get asked how they are. That's the rule. We know that's the golden unspoken rule. Whoever hosts never get asked how they are, because then it makes Keith feel better.
But I always count myself as the unofficial host, so therefore then I don't get host credit. That's what I'm looking for. Anyways,
okay.
We're talking about two things, which is one is great beer and video games. So let's talk about our beers, which I do have beers because I still haven't opened the other three from the last episode. So where is it? Let me pull out the lunch bag full of them.
I love the fact you've got like a lunch bag cooler. With,
Yeah, it's got
your beers
they
in.
gotta stay
Is that 'cause
cold.
you
So...
don't have like a mini? Is that because you don't have a mini fridge in your room?
All right, here we go. Actually, the mini fridge is just outside my bedroom door. So you guys pick which one are we going
Even
for.
more hilarious.
Which one did you do the last time? The Sculpin?
I took it out. It's not in there.
Oh, it's
Oh.
not-
It was a great.
Go for
We-
go for the pale ale.
The wee Gus. I want
The
the wee
orange.
Gus.
The
I
Sculpin,
can
I think.
I can tell you that the Sculpin is good because I've had Ballast Point Sculpin before.
Okay, so it's between the Wee Gusk and the Sculpin. So where are we voting for, fellas? Evan,
Wee Gus.
with your back turned, seem completely uninterested in my feelings and my thoughts. Wow, what's your thought?
I'm listening.
Is it the Sculpin or the Wee Gus?
Are you asking me? My internet is so
Yes. What is
bad
your vote?
right now.
What is your vote?
Everyone sounds like they have autotune on. I can barely understand what anyone is saying. I'll do my best on
If
this
we have
episode, by the way.
autotune, you should hear us
the
just
orange,
fine.
the orange one.
The orange one. Wait, they're both orange.
Yeah.
They're both.
No, they're not.
The main orange.
Okay.
is
They
Sculpin.
have the more orange.
All right.
The one with the orange text. How about that?
Oh.
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 That would be
That's
the
the
Wee
Wee
Gus.
Gus. Okay.
I'm
All right.
Wee
So
Gus wins.
Burkoff, what are you saying? Which one?
You can go with Wee Gus if everybody wants to see that one.
Yeah, go Trevor Hoppy Lager. I
Yeah.
would have gone for the IPA
Okay, fine.
personally, but that's
Alright.
just personal choice.
Well, I might drink both. Who knows? So I'll let you know if we tackle the other one. Oh yeah, this is the one that looks like
Oh.
Nemo.
Nice.
Nemo swimming out to sea.
Yeah.
Fish. Oh, this one. Fish are not. Fish are friends, not food.
Well, yeah, did you
Stop
hear about that
it.
guy who got eaten by the great white shark this week? That's pretty horrific.
All right.
In
So.
Australia. Did
Oh
it
yeah.
make news in America?
No.
Yeah, some guy for the first time in like 60 years. Some guy's been eaten by like, was it like 3 meters long or something stupid? They were saying this shark. It looked like a car. It was so big. They're
no
like, this
idea.
massive
I-
great white came in and like took out this swimmer, literally, and then basically it was found body parts floating in the sea. It was pretty horrific.
Oh. Okay. Wow. Okay. That's
There
gonna
you go,
definitely.
that's your
That's
count.
gonna get an explicit rating on this show. Thanks for that. Thanks for that. You just talk
No
about
worries.
body parts. Now the children can't
I-
listen. Now the children
I'm
can't
so
listen
glad.
to the show.
I don't want the children to listen, so it's good.
And then I was just gonna quickly say if for people that have not played the game It Takes Two, I highly recommend. I'm not done with it yet with my best friend playing it together, but it is still a lot of fun.
Oh, nice.
We're about five levels in of 9, so we're getting pretty close to the end.
It's on Game Pass, right? Or EA Play?
I don't think it's on EA Play. You can do a trial on EA Play.
Oh, okay.
Or I think you have to pay for the premium subscription for EA Play to play it for free, but it's not on the Game Pass. You can't get it via Game Pass.
Okay. All right.
So, but only one person has to buy the game because you can bring another person in for free.
Right.
Yeah,
Okay.
I didn't know
So
that.
great.
So my friend has it, and then we just hop online together. So it's a lot of fun.
Nice.
We just did a racing with ice skates, and that was a lot of fun. As just a fun mini game
Nice.
to do on the side. Oh yeah. I do not have a cup, so we cannot see what it looks like. So I'm just gonna drink from the can. But
Disappointment.
okay, I can see why you guys thought I was gonna like this one more. It's still very much an IPA, hands down. But like it's
Well, it's not. It's a hobby lager, isn't it?
well.
That's kind of. It's
I know. That's an oxymoron. I realise that, but
It's basically an
they infuse
IPA
it.
type of yeast.
Yeah,
Yeah,
basically it's like a weedy IPA. That's what you call it.
Yeah.
Like you got your weedy beers, that's definitely weedy. This is like an IPA with some wheat.
Okay.
Now, as I'm saying wheat, I keep thinking of Sellers of Catan, and I don't know why, but just like throw some wheat in there.
It's a good game.
It's a good game, great board game.
You gotta make sure you can trade.
Evan, I know you got beer. Like you never come on the podcast
Yes.
without beer.
What are you trying to say, Mitch? No, yeah, I have some beer.
I gotta say you
Uh,
like beer.
Yeah, I do. Thank you. I'm drinking my usual, the Kirin First Press, the Ichiban Shibori. But I did pick up an adjunct lager. So this is a tier below what I usually drink, and obviously the reason that it's a adjunct lager is it lager. I'm on my first beer, by the way. Just so you know.
Well, you're sounding like you're from Wisconsin, like we are, where you go to
Yeah,
lodge. Just,
Been watching that Charlie Barron's.
Oh, dude, that guy's so funny. It's so good. He sounds exactly like my uncle. It is. It's like a slice of home. There's something about. I haven't been home in almost 4 years, so it's nice to hear that accent.
Keith, we are not 55 minutes in. If you look at the streaming time on the podcast, we are 17 minutes and 43 seconds in. You need to check your facts. That is alternative facts, my friend. Alternative facts.
This guy's policing from the ether.
Jesus.
Can't help.
Where's my sirens? Oh, I'm sorry. I got blue and red right now. This is the sirens pulling in, going, bad boys, bad boys. No.
Hey, okay, sorry. You're not on the show. You don't get to micromanage.
Yeah, come on the show then. Stop being a chicken.
Go and enjoy your damn birthday.
That's it.
Yeah, why are you listening to us? Have fun, man. Get out of here.
Because we care more about his birthday than everyone else in his life.
Oh, happy birthday, by the way.
Happy birthday, buddy.
Okay. Happy birthday.
Hope you're having a good one.
Management.
So this is it says it has spirits in it, but one reason they throw other stuff in there is because the tax per can is different. So it's just to make it a cheaper option, and then you can kind of cover the market with your top tier stuff and your bottom tier stuff. So this is Sapporo's Mugi to Hoppu, and it just says barley and hops is the name of the beer. But this is not just any barley and hops. This is extra rich, and apparently it's new. This can is hideous. There are so many Japanese cans.
Is that because they tweaked the recipe only very slightly so they can write the word "new" on it?
I guess.
No.
There is some English on here too.
It's more Evan has bought every single can. They got to make sure Evan knows it's new, so he has to buy it.
Because I feel like most of the cans you bring, Evan. I feel like most of the cans you bring in, they always have the stamp "new" on them. So either they're like we're mixing up that recipe a lot, or just like that term.
Japanese breweries are always putting out seasonal stuff, or they've added like new recipe or even more flavor. It's just a marketing thing. It's totally a gimmick, but it must work because they always do it. Yeah, I think you're right. Like almost, I'm gonna start looking for that. If there's a new can, I'll just buy it and I'll bring it on the show. So there is some English on this can, but it's a bit disappointing because it's correct. Rich and satisfying flavor is assured by carefully selected ingredients and our original brewing method. So I'm sorry to disappoint.
They must have hired you,
right?
Or they finally hired someone.
Well, hilarious enough, Evan, if you bought all the cans and like you saved them, literally you would just have a row of cans that kept saying "new" all over them.
I do have a can, and it became a story in Japan where they had written lager. They spelled lager incorrectly on the can. It was LAGAR, and they were going to recall. They were going to recall like tens of thousands of cans, and then it became like this huge story. And then they just decided to go with it because everyone already knew about it. So all they did was they printed out these little labels to attach like just under where the price is, like in supermarkets, and it said, what did it say? It was actually quite clever. It was like, the spelling's wrong, but the flavor isn't, or something like that. It was actually written much better than that, but it was actually pretty clever. And I have the can because I thought it was kind of a neat thing because it'll never, the second line of those beers, they spelled lager correctly. So I thought I'd hold on to that. But I don't even know if I really want to talk about... Oh, that's actually a pretty good pour. What's going on here?
Yeah.
Who are you and who replaced you with Evan?
Yeah, what's going on?
McWomble, don't worry about changing it. I already knew it ahead of time. It's not a big deal. Just change it later.
Yeah, so this is just your average 5% highly carbonated Pilsner lager. And it's fine. It does the job. I do prefer Kirin, because it's one of the only big ones that doesn't have cornstarch in it. Like everyone always talks about Asahi Super Dry. I don't know why. Or Sapporo Black Label. They have cornstarch in it. It's terrible for you. If you want to wake up with a headache, definitely drink 8 beers with cornstarch in it. So yeah, it's fine. I saw the can and it, like Dan said, it's like, ooh, it's new. Let me buy one, right? I'm not gonna buy a case, but yeah, it does the job.
All right. Well, established.
Evan, to improve video quality for our YouTube listeners, I recommend aiming your camera a little higher. We rather see your face than your bam boobs.
Sorry, I gotta. All right,
I know McWomble's on the show, but your moobs just need to stay away.
I would prefer to see the man boobs, quite frankly.
There we go.
Burkoff, what do you got?
Hold on, I searched.
Established in Milwaukee in 1844. It's my daily drinker.
Pap.
Yeah, PBR.
Evan established
There
in.
you
Yeah.
What's up, Pap? How you doing?
So yeah, I didn't feel the need to get anything special because McWomble didn't want to show up for his birthday, so I was like, I'll just drink the regular stuff.
You should have got. Have you gotten Spotted Cow? That's a Wisconsin classic. That's a Wisconsin classic.
If I can get it out here, I'll check it out.
If you can get it, it good, real good.
I don't think they distribute outside of the state.
They do.
I mean,
They
this is
distribute-
from old.
they
Oh,
do.
they do. They
Yeah.
do now. Okay.
They do in Minnesota, at least I know that for sure.
It's kind of like Surly Brewing from Minneapolis. They only distribute in the surrounding states. I remember I went to Knoxville, Tennessee once.
I wonder if you can ship it.
I was
though.
like maybe. I went to Knoxville, Tennessee for a wedding, and there was a guy there. I was talking to them, and they were home brewers. And the second I said I was from Wisconsin, he's like, "Oh man, if you can get me a case of New Glarus, I would kiss you on the lips." It's because like they can't get it out in Tennessee, and apparently New Glarus is well known amongst brewers and beer drinkers and that. Yeah, New Glarus is an amazing brewery in Wisconsin, one of the best ones.
All right. Anyone else got beer?
Too early.
All right.
It's too early for them.
What are you talking about? It's 5 o'clock somewhere, my friend. As the world famous Alan Jackson once said, with what's his name, Jimmy Buffett.
On a Saturday morning when you've got a 1.5-year-old.
It's 5 o'clock somewhere.
Somebody's got to be responsible, right, Dan?
Exactly.
But you know what time? It's always 5 o'clock in Margaritaville. That's what time it is. Always in Margaritaville. Anyways, all right, moving on to the next thing. If you don't know that, if you're even I'm like young and know that reference, go look it up, you youngins. It's a great reference.
Drink responsibly.
Yes. Drink
I don't think I call it
responsibly.
great,
No breweries and beer sponsor us, though we are welcome and open to it because we would love to review a beer live on the show. If you want to send it to us, we'd love to do it. We'd be happy. Maybe send us some cash.
Just don't send it
PBR
to Japan
responsibility.
or America because you'll get lost. Unless you're from America, and then that's fine.
Yeah,
So
basically.
just send it to Nick and he can review it and tell us what it tastes like.
Just send it to me. If it's an LA brewery, just come and find me. I'll hook you up with the show. All right, moving on to our games category, which today we do have a special category. You know, I was playing, and it's a slight, Horizon Forbidden West thing, but I was playing Zero Dawn. I hadn't played the DLC. I bought the game with the expansion, and I was playing through it, and I was playing through Horizon Zero Dawn. And it made me have this thought about it, which was, you have this DLC, and I know, and I'm going to spoil it for some people who have not played Horizon Zero Dawn. I'm so sorry, but you're just going to have to
Don't
understand.
worry, they recap the whole game at the start of the new game.
Anyways,
You're not spoiling anything.
for the people that don't know, and maybe this itself is a topic of should games make you rewind to the final mission when you complete the game? Because sometimes I have issues with that. But anyway, this one I knew.
Save that topic.
This one I knew, Keith. Put it in the spreadsheet. Thank you. So anyway, what happened was I knew in Horizon Zero Dawn, when you complete the final mission, it rewinds you back leading up to the final mission. So I was like, I have this Forbidden West stuff, and I can go there whenever I want, I found out. So I was like...
Frozen Wilds, you mean? Not Forbidden
Sorry.
West.
Yep, thank you. Frozen Wilds.
See how it works, and
I did
the
it.
loop is complete.
You know what I did?
Yeah.
You know what I did? I did it just for Dan because I wanted him to redeem himself for embarrassing himself within the after saying it sounded like going to an old friend, but he kept talking about the old friend's dead, the new friend. So
Wow.
see,
Just changing the narrative.
so
Amazing.
anyway, I know you can go to the Frozen Wilds whenever you want, and so I just never understood, like, in context to the plot, because I'm a big plot person. Like, when we got games, I like that they have plots, and I like when they wove together and work really well. And I was like, I don't know when I'm supposed to go to this and play this. And because you do the final mission and you rewind back in time, I was like, okay, you must have to complete this during your mission during the regular stuff, and it's like a side mission, just a really long bloated side mission. So what I did is like leading up to the final level, right before I go do all that stuff to like do the final boss battles and all that kind of stuff, I decided to go to the Frozen Wilds. And so as I was going to the Frozen Wilds, one of the characters was telling me in my ear, being like, you don't need to go there. You have something more important to take care of, like the mission in front of you, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, okay, but like, then when do I go do this mission? Because technically in the timeline, it makes no sense to me. So I ended up finishing I'll just get to my point. As I finished the level, I went ahead and barged through it. I did not listen to my friend who tried to tell me what to do. At the end of it, he says, oh, I guess it was worth it. I was like, okay, thanks for not making me feel as bad that I totally did it. But at the same time, when I finished it, I almost felt as if, yeah, maybe I should have completed the game and then went to this, because it was so much more expansive. It had its own concrete story. It kind of connected to the main plot, but it felt as if it really was meant to be after. But then why did not the game unlock it after I beat the main campaign? And then it just kind of opened the whole topic of like DLC. Where should DLC take place in a story's timeline? There's many different DLCs. Like this one you can go at any time, but like it seems like it's meant for after the game. You have Mass Effect, where some of the DLC that is made is meant for in middle of the game, not at the end of the game. But then the DLC comes after the game comes out, so then it makes you want to go like, do I have to go back into the game and then all of a sudden like go to that mission? Or should I have to play the game all over again and then find my way through that mission in between? There's just so many elements that we talk when we get DLC and when it's supposed to go chronologically in the timeline. I just want to get your initial thoughts of like, do you have a preference? Do you like it having to be taking place after a game's story? Or do you like it taking place in the middle of the story? Burkoff, go ahead.
So there's a couple of games that come to mind in particular, specifically for DLC that I really, really like. StarCraft, Brood War, one of my most favorite DLC expansion packs of all time. The Shivering Isles, Elder Scrolls Oblivion. That's an amazing DLC. I'm trying to think of what it's called in Mass Effect 2, the one where you're stuck on the planet. It's like the Cerberus.
Arrival?
Yes. Yeah, Arrival. Yeah. So you do that, and you're stuck on the planet, and you have to complete the DLC before you can go back to the main mission. That one sticks out in mind. And then Mass Effect again, Keith brought up the Leviathan DLC for 3.
Oh, I like the Shadow Broker of 2 the most.
Shadow Broker is good, but it's pretty short in comparison to the other ones that they give you. But yeah, it is really good in terms of story.
Well, I just like that Liara points out that I was sleeping around. And she's like, I'm not going to be with you because you slept with that chick.
Shadow Broker's the longest one in Mass Effect 2. You
sure about that?
Yeah. It has a whole cool, like, sort of Blade Runner section, then it goes to, like, on board the ship. Yeah. I recently played it, so, yeah, it's definitely the longest of the bunch.
Okay. I haven't gotten back to 2 since I've gotten Legendary, so I'll have to play that again.
Yeah.
But, yeah, so those are the ones that sort of come to mind, and I think those are the ones for me that do it the best.
But what do you prefer? Do you like it that takes place in the middle of your campaign, even though you beat the game already?
So I think with like StarCraft Brood War is probably the best example of the way that I think DLC should be done. And the only reason I say that is because it is a little weird, like with Shivering Isles, where you're already on this pressing main quest, and you're already diverting with the other like faction quests and things like that. That you don't get to the end of the story. Here's another thing that you get put, in front of your path to do before you get to the end. Same thing with Mass Effect. There's this pressing thing at the end of the game that you should be doing and should be trying to get to as quick as possible, at least within the timeline and the context of the story. But then there's like, no, here's all this other shit to divert your attention, for you to go do. I always thought that was kind of weird. It's not that I don't enjoy those, but I would prefer if it was like a tack on to the end of the story. If there was a way to continue um, the story itself and not have it just be in the middle.
Liam, what about you? Where's your feelings on in the middle or at the end?
I think it's kind of hard to talk about because I'm not sure I really have a preference. I like a lot of DLCs that take place at the end. I like a lot of DLCs that take place right in the middle.
You're on the wrong show. You can't be in the middle. There's no wish-washy on this show, bro. You need to pick a stand. You need to make a choice. Just kidding.
Liam, are you a centrist? Are you a centrist? I can't.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding.
Stop sitting on your fence. Get off your fence and take a position.
Well, there's pros and cons for both sides of it, I think. I think sometimes when you put a DLC right at the end of the game, you don't feel motivated to, start playing the game again. You've had months of separation from it. I suppose that's a problem with all DLC, but it's especially a problem, when you're picking up something right after you've ended the game. Meanwhile,
you don't feel like, because like I would say I'm the opposite, Liam. I think it's actually more of an issue when I have to, basically the game is being like, go back and play the whole thing all over again, especially if I'm not loving it, but I may have liked it, and it's like, oh, I don't want to play another 60 hours just to get to this one DLC that's an hour, right?
but that's not necessarily the what happens either if the DLC is like in the middle of the campaign.
That's what you get with Mass Effect.
Have other life commitments, so by the time you've got to that point, the DLCs come out.
Yeah,
that means you immediately played the game after it came out. Oh, also, Mick Womble clarified, Shadow Broker is the longest. The reason I brought up Leviathan is BioWare had to release it late because they had to, quote unquote, fix the ending first, and the timing release didn't make any sense.
Yeah, so I think he's getting to the point of not only where the DLC takes place in the story, but also when the publisher actually releases the DLC.
Oh, well, there's definitely that as well. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I would say with Mass Effect 3 in particular, I feel like that's the most glaring of things, because I do like the DLC being sort of where you can play at any time. You start the game again, you can just play it straight away. I love that. But at the same time, Mass Effect 3 has a huge problem with its DLC, because everything is just so, the end of the universe is happening, and Shepard goes off to hang out with all of his buddies on the Citadel, and it's just like, okay, game. I mean, it's the best DLC probably in the franchise, in my opinion, Citadel. But it also doesn't quite fit.
I think a really good example of some good DLC where it's like it can come later, but it feels like it's in the middle of the game is, and this is going to be going even further back. I don't even think people might not call this DLC, but I would count it as a category of DLC, which is Resident Evil 4 and the Separate Ways edition, where Ada has her special campaign built in because it was not in the original game. It was brought into the PlayStation 2 version when after they released the GameCube version. It came out for Xbox and PlayStation 2, and they added the Separate Ways section where Ada had her own levels that were built into the game, and it's DLC that you could play at any time, but it didn't feel as if you had to play the campaign all over again just to get to those parts.
Right, almost more like an expansion pack or something.
Exactly. Yep. Evan, where's your thoughts at?
I understand where you're coming from, Mitch. Especially if you're when you play video games, you're really driven by story and
I don't like
plot
the way you're
details
starting
and,
it, because you go, I understand, but
well, I mean, that's what you do, right? But I just think I come from a more, not like practical per se, but I just understand the concessions that have to be made when it comes to DLC, where I'm just able to just like I wave away, like, wait a minute, this doesn't make sense that I'm actually stopping just before the final battle to go off and do this thing and then come back. So I just kind of wave it away as an extra thing. And one of the reasons I do that is if it's a game that I really, really like for Zero Dawn, the Frozen Wild comes out, and it's one of those games where I loved the first game, I had a great time, and I'm just happy to play more of it. Um, and then there's things like the delicious last course, right? Cuphead, which who cares about the story? It's like they gamble away their souls or whatever, and then they kill the devil. Like, who cares? It's just more Cuphead, and you're happy to get more Cuphead, and it doesn't. There's not an issue there. One specific example of a game that does not shoehorn per se, but put DLC in the middle of a game is Deus Ex, and I always get these messed up. Human Revolution
not Mankind
is the
Divided.
first,
Right,
not
right,
Mankind
yeah.
Divided.
Deus Ex
Human Revolution is the first one. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I played that game years after it came out. I got the director's cut, and there was a DLC called The Missing Link, which is kind of a specific story. And what they do in the director's cut is they put it in the actual game. I don't know where. A little, maybe in like the last third of the game. Yeah. Where you're stripped of all your augmentations and you're on a boat and you have to do more of like a stealth leading, more dishonored. I guess you can do whatever you want, but basically it's just kind of one of those weird things where they turn left when the goal of the game was not to do that. And I actually just looked it up to double check. The devs weren't even thinking about DLC when they were making this game, and it was made by like a small group of the developers while the game had been going on. So it's just one of those weird things, and the DLC was fine, but it is also one of those things where like did this have to be put into the game? Maybe it would have been better as a choice, like other DLC like Mass Effect and that type of thing.
Right, where you could
so
choose
Mitch,
to go on the mission.
yeah, and in this case, I didn't even know it was DLC till later. I found out because it's the next chapter, and then it goes on to the rest of the game. I think I prefer the choice for it, but to answer your question, Mitch, I don't necessarily care that it doesn't really make sense that you're stopping the story of the game to go play this side thing if it's a game where I'm just happy to play more of it later down the line.
I guess
maybe
I'm not wording it correctly. Is more my issue with it is when you beat the game already, and then this DLC is taking place in the middle of the story, and so you go back to play the game, and all the stuff you did before happened. Like there's a conclusion, but yet you're going to do some kind of side thing where it feels like it's still continuing the plot of like, oh, but you still got to go save the world. And it's like, well, I already saved the world. So then it's like, do I have to go back and play the whole thing all over again to get that cohesiveness to work? It's almost like it's almost like a puzzle piece.
If you want to, I would never do that.
It's almost like trying to add a puzzle piece to a puzzle that's complete, and you're like trying to shove in the piece to make it like fit right and be like, get in there. But it's like, no, you got to take the puzzle apart again. You got to put it all together with the new pieces included. But Dan, go ahead. I was going to go to you anyway. So
no, it's fine. I was just going to pick up on the Horizon Zero Dawn point. Obviously, when I played that Frozen Wilds, I obviously had beaten the game ages before, and I picked up the DLC, and I didn't even think about where I was in the story. I just beeline straight to the Frozen Wilds and went up there, because in my head I'd already completed the game. I wasn't really paying attention to what people were saying, any narrative, because in my head the game was complete, and it just chucked you back into that pre-state if you wanted to play it again, obviously, which is a weird place. But I kind of think, well, it has to put you somewhere, and as it's an open world, well, they could have let you go into a point afterwards, maybe, I don't know. Maybe a weird game choice posed by them. But I didn't feel like the Frozen Wilds was before the last thing, because I went and did that, and then I was like, oh, I'm done, and I turned it off.
Yeah, and in hindsight, like I was like, oh yeah, I guess like if someone was playing the game and it was over, and then they stopped playing and the Frozen Wilds then came out and they continued playing, they'd forget that the game made you go back in time to before the final mission.
Yeah, and that's what I did.
That's when it makes sense. But like when you're playing it then straight up, you're like, this makes no sense.
Yeah, I suppose if you play it after, like we said, about it depends when you play a game. In the same way as if the DLC's in the middle of the game and you haven't played it until after all the DLC's out, you won't notice the difference. Whereas if you played it day one and completed it and then have to go back through, it's a bit of a disservice to your loyal fans, I think, in some ways.
Oh, for sure.
So then is the DLC there to get people who hadn't bought it yet buy the game, or is it there to actually get people who really like the game to play more of it?
Or to start over from the beginning and play the whole thing all through again.
Yeah, but isn't that wasting your consumers' time? I think so. That's not very fair.
But it's adding value, bro. Getting that money. All right.
Yeah, I was gonna say there's another category too, specifically with the types of games that Dan likes. XCOM Enemy Within.
Yeah.
Was crazy.
We are banning XCOM from this podcast, so we are going to stop this conversation right now.
Why?
I'm just kidding. Go ahead. Go ahead.
No, but like,
no, I agree with Mitch. Let's ban XCOM. I'm just kidding.
So Enemy Within like totally changed the way that you played XCOM. Like it wasn't even that like it was a separate story or anything like that. It like fundamentally added different types of mechanics to the game.
Yeah, they do that. They do that quite a lot. They mix up the recipe, not a lot, but there's the things, and there's also like DLC packs. Also for like if you're into like 4X games, just getting a new civilization can be fun.
Right.
That doesn't interest many people, but like paying like $2.99, I can play with this race of people, and I can like build these structures or have these kind of units. Like can be, and it's a small little tidbit. And I've played the game loads of times, and now I can start a new campaign because I've now got this new civilization to build. That could be quite fun. I don't know. Some people don't agree, but
yeah.
For me, someone like that, I like that you've got those options, and it might open. You might have more maps, or it might change the time frame. So like I'm playing Total War 3 Kingdoms. Sorry, getting confused between my games. Bloody in China. But within that, there's so many different dynasties you can be a part of, depending what DLC you've bought or just the base game, and then it all changes the map and which civilizations are in place, so it can kind of change your whole gameplay aspect. So it's quite fun. But that's
so what so I know like Burkoff already did it, so I'm not going to go to Burkoff. So Burkoff, you can be quiet. Just simmer down now. Chill your horses.
Maybe I'll interrupt somebody this time.
No, that's not how this works. No.
Yes.
You have permission to interrupt me.
Okay.
Excuse me. You are not the host of this show.
I gave him my consent. You can do it.
You have no power here, Liam. You have no power. I'm the only one on this show with power. Not only am I the host, I do have power of persuasion.
This is when there's a coup.
Was that an accent? Was that an accent you just did, Mitch?
I've told myself every single episode I will do an accent. If you can guess my accent, I give you $100. Just kidding.
I guess completely terrible made-up accent every single time. I think I'm correct.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, no, my accent is Keith's accent. Actually, I really should try that one day when I'm hosting. Just try to make a Keith accent and be Keith the entire show. You know, get some stubble going on. Wear a nice just plain T-shirt that's a plain color, like what Dan's wearing, like a greenish brown looking thing. I don't know what color that is. Greenish.
Gray.
Oh, gray.
Gray.
Okay.
Chewy.
But that's what I need to do. Oh my god. Okay.
Great T-shirt.
Yeah.
So Burkoff already answered this question. So I'm gonna go to Liam. I know you might have answered a little bit of this too, but what is your favorite DLC? What's a favorite DLC that you think did it right, that it didn't feel jarring hopping back in?
I was thinking of this, and I think there's two specific companies that do DLC really well, where I have very limited complaints I could make about them. And I other than RTS games, which I think RTS games actually have DLC really well down. But two things that come to mind is Naughty Dog, with Left Behind and The Lost
Yeah.
Legacy. Even though it's kind of hard to count The Lost Legacy as a DLC, even though it did start life as a DLC, and you got it free if you bought the season pass. So yeah, but I think both of those DLCs are great, and I also think Rockstar does a really great job of DLC, which is all the more annoying that they refuse to do any for GTA
Oh no.
5.
No.
But
Are
Lost
you
in
sure
the
you're not
Town-
Rafa, Michael? Are you sure you're not Rafa hiding behind there? Are you
I mean, me and him are on the same wavelength with these kind of things, you know.
just pulls off the mask? I am the master of disguise.
Yeah, so Rafa and Liam are the reason that it's still on like the top 20 list of
And why
selling
I'm
games.
still waiting for the next game to
it's
come
me.
out.
It's me. If I looked at my hours, I played more Red Dead and GTA than Rafa. And Rafa always gets the stick for like
Wow.
Rockstar games. And like, I was playing with one of my friends. I think I put there. He had
No.
800 hours in GTA Online the last year, and 500 hours in Red
My
Dead
God.
Online.
Yeah, I was
Like, he's like
I was gonna
bossing
say
it.
I was gonna say Rafa is probably the one playing GTA Online and trying to find his own turnip black market and trying to
Yes.
trying to sell it up there. Like that's the reason why he doesn't want a new game. He has a hold on the turnip black market. He does not want to get rid of that. Like Jesus, he would have to start from
No.
scratch. What a shame. What a shame.
Oh, that okay. That's not DLC, but I do have a criticism. We'll talk about later.
But Lost in the Damned and Ballad of the Gay Tony are just such great additions to GTA
They
4.
They are
And
great DLC.
Nightmare in Red Dead Redemption 1 is just
Yeah.
so
Very
freaking
good.
good.
Really good fun.
I think they fit into those games perfectly. It's like you don't need to replay them. You can just start any of those DLCs without any issue.
Okay. Evan, what's yours? What's DLC that you think has been done right in regards to like not feeling jarring when hopping in?
All right, Mitch, you're not going to like this, and this is only because you had a bad experience with this game, but the best DLC ever made is the DLC for The Witcher 3.
You're a liar. I don't believe you. I don't believe you.
You've never played it. You
what
don't
are you
know.
talking about, broski? I played it. I played that. I played the
You
DLC.
You did play the DLC? I thought you just played the original.
No, I played the
think you never
original.
got that far.
I played the original with the DLC, broskis. Come on now. Come on.
You got all the way through the game because I was really sad because the reason I bought that game was for the DLC.
Yeah.
and I never got that far. 'Cause
And
the game
I
was so broken.
I was disappointed when I played through that DLC. So everyone
In
hyped,
what way?
Everyone
How could you possibly be disappointed
everyone
by the
hyped it
story
up.
in both of those deals?
Wait, what are you talking about?
Yeah,
The story of the DLC.
there is no amount of hype
no,
that can
no.
make ruin or spoil the. So Hearts of Stone, which was the first one released in the same year, I believe, in 2015, and then Blood and Wine was released in 2016. The reason I specifically talk about these two DLCs is one, they are two DLCs where it's one of those concessions that I can make where Geralt, and you see it in the show as well. There's kind of like a monster of the week feel to the game just due to him being a Witcher and he's moving from town to town and doing this kind of Sherlock Holmes-esque detective kind of style of learning about a creature from the townspeople and then figuring out how to kill it and then killing it and getting paid and then moving on type of deal. And they do it in the show as well. In season one of my favorite episodes was the one where they do a Monster of the Week episode, and it's compartmentalized and it's great. And so I think it works.
Princess.
Yeah, in the castle, and even in season 2 was the amazing one with the kind of the guy that turned into the beast.
Yeah,
That was an awesome
Yeah.
episode. That was so good.
Tormund from Game of Thrones.
Which
Yes,
apparently he in the books that's not what happened, but they wanted to kill a Witcher off, so that's what they would need to do.
Okay. But anyway, so there is kind of this aspect of it to where he runs into this situation that he has to deal with, and he's like, all right, well, I'm a Witcher, I'm going to do it. And then Blood of Wine is more maybe what Mitch doesn't like, where it's like, if you're halfway through the Wild Hunt, and all of a sudden Blood and Wine appears, and like, oh, that's the end of Geralt's story, and they put like a nice tight bow on the end of that, which I think is an amazing ending. But the reason that I like these not only does it kind of fit with just the way that Geralt is as a Witcher, kind of hopping from town to town and helping people with their monster problems, but I think the story in Hearts of Stone particularly, and then the bow on the end of Geralt's story in Blood and Wine are way better stories than even what is in The Wild Hunt itself. Like, very few DLC have a better story than the
And
actual main game.
That's why I was sad, Evan, that I couldn't get there because the game has just irritated me.
Well,
Me too.
I get that.
I
get that.
I will give you credit that the Blood and Wine is a better story than the main plot, but the main plot is a D story. Like, I'm giving it a D. So, like, it isn't. It's like I would give the Blood and Wine maybe like a C plus, B minus. That's not really saying much.
But you get to collect the armor from Francis Ford Coppola's Bram Stoker's Dracula that Gary Oldman has in the beginning of the game. It's fucking great.
But why? But I don't care. That's
how
the
long
problem.
does it take?
I've never had a problem with the Witcher game stories.
The
I think the
characters
stories in the
suck.
games are
I
great.
don't care.
Yeah.
How long in the main game does it take to get to Blood and Wine DLC? So if I have the
Like
if I have the
25
game
hours probably.
if I have the Game of the Year edition and I jump into Witcher 3 and I
25
just
hours.
want to, it's 25 hours before I get to play Blood and Wine.
Basically,
which
you
is
need
another- which
you
is
need to
another
be
30
leveled.
hours,
You need
right?
to be leveled up enough to get to like complete the mission. It's not necessarily of like when. It's how high of a level you are, and you need to be about 3/4 of the way done to be able to tackle Blood and Wine without not being OP'd.
Okay. All right.
And that's the problem, because I was about 8 hours in, at which point I was done. And that's made me sad, because I didn't want to play the Blood and Wine thing, because everyone I speak to, bar Mitch, it seems, said how amazing.
I did warn you all. I did warn you all about Cyberpunk 2077, but no, Mitchell doesn't know anything.
No, I dropped Witcher
Mitch,
like a bad
everybody
habit.
was warning everybody about Cyberpunk
Oh, they
2077.
weren't.
Yeah.
They all hyping it like it was going to be the next thing of Jesus Christ. Anyways,
Yeah, but everybody here agreed with you on that. Like,
not everybody.
everybody.
Not everybody. Mick
I
Womble.
didn't think it would still be broken after 6 months, though.
Our
That's the only-
Lord Jesus McWomble wants to say something. I need to let him speak. He says, a game that deserves DLC, just for you, Evan. Titanfall 2. Great shooter. Some say the greatest shooter.
It does need some DLC, dude. There's
It
a
does.
story
It's
that
a great
can be
game.
told.
How about a DLC that makes it a brand new game? Give me another game.
I would, honestly,
What is it? What is the name of that company? Respawn? More like Rion.
Evan, I think you did like Jedi Fallen Order, so I think you're gonna take that back, bro.
Yeah, mate, that's true. You did like Jedi Fallen Order.
So you better take that back.
Yeah, that's pretty good. I mean, they
take it
totally
back?
ripped off the FromSoft design philosophy, but yeah,
Lightsabers,
that's
Evan.
okay.
It
Nothing wrong with that.
customizable lightsabers. You better take that back.
Oh, by the way, at some point this year, I will replay Titanfall 2, and we're going to have an episode dedicated to it.
Nice.
I think we agreed on that in the Discord chat, yeah.
Uh,
I'll give it a fair shake. I swear on... I was going to say my mother's grave, but my mother's still alive.
I've been.
I swear on my grandfather's grave. I lived with him till I was 10 years old. I worked with him till I was about 22. Very, very close to my grandfather. I swear on Edward Piotrowski's grave, I will give Titanfall 2 a fair shake.
somehow I was gonna
When I play it
say
again,
I was gonna say when after you said like I worked for him so I was 22 and I was like then you killed him in your sleep. It's just,
Oh my god.
That's horrible.
just like going really harsh on that one.
The problem is, Evan, with any shooter or any kind of... you won't be playing the multiplayer bit, but I mean, you'll say at the time while you're enjoying it, and then afterwards, you'll just... all that good feeling, you'll burn up and say it was a waste of... Like you did when we used to play... what's it called together?
Dauntless.
Ghost of Tsushima. No, Ghost of Tsushima. I'm still hurt at the heart by your comments. It's 2
Dude,
years on. I'm still my heart hurts.
Dan, it's funny that you say that because I'm not even kidding. Every now and then, I'll remember kind of saying like, I didn't have a good time, and the look on your like, what the fuck was that all about, man? Like I thought we had something here. I think about that the way I
we had a great
disappointed you. I'm serious.
relationship. We were in a
Yeah.
relationship for 7 months, man, and you threw that all away.
Yeah.
All that
I do
time
think about
wasted.
that sometimes. I'm sorry.
What?
I had a good time, man. I swear to God.
All right,
I just don't like multiplayer.
stay on topic.
Okay, sorry,
Stay
DLC.
on topic.
DLC.
Dan, what's yours? What's some DLC you love that you think gets it right?
Well, this is where we disagree. I love the Frozen Wilds.
Yeah, me too. I love it too.
Wait, I didn't. Wait,
sorry,
hold on,
did it-
hold up. I did not say it did not do it correctly. I just said
Oh,
in
you
chronological
used
order.
it as your point to say that it was
No,
shouldn't be right.
I just said it didn't really
Oh,
make
okay.
total sense, but in a sense, the game did help it make sense when I diverted from what it wanted me to do. It ended up making sense, but like, it's not as jarring as others. Like, this one's forgivable compared to like the Mass Effect DLCs. That's the ones that are jarring for me. That basically for me to make the game make sense, I'd have to start all over again and do it so I can go through the DLCs, not be done with my final mission and then go to the DLC.
Okay, fair enough. No, I loved the Frozen Wilds. Literally, it was amazing. But then I loved Frozen. I don't know if that was the funny thing about DLC. I always find I feel like you enjoy it more depending. I know this is a ridiculous statement because of course you do. Depending how much you enjoyed the original game.
Yeah.
Because like obviously sometimes you play DLC and it's disappointment because it's not as good as the original game. But with the Frozen Wilds, I just thought again it was like going back to an old. I'm gonna keep using that analogy. An old friend, pick it up, go, oh, this is a bit more challenging. Let me kind of get my grips or bearings behind it. Oh, my shield that I like OP'd up to doesn't work as effectively up here. Like it just did some amazing things. I thoroughly enjoyed that DLC. But then again, for me, all the 4X DLC. What I did love was the what's it called? Hospital.
Theme Hospital.
No, not Theme.
Two
Theme
Point
Hospital.
Hospital?
Back in the day. 2 Point Hospital's DLC was amazing. I thought, and on Switch, I think you get it all for free because I don't know pay for it. It just comes on sporadically, and I'm like, beautiful. That's the best type of DLC, the stuff you don't have to pay for. Whether that's a bug on my game and I shouldn't be going for free, who knows? I'm enjoying it while it lasts. But yeah, no, like how like they've added something. Oh, add a new theme. That's cool. So like all that kind of stuff, I really enjoy. But then again, I'm more of that kind of game, so I'm going to love all those kind of DLCs.
2 questions
but-
for everybody. Oh, unless you wanted to keep going.
No, that's fine.
Okay.
Fine.
Two questions for everybody. Let's start with Burkoff, so you can talk now. You're welcome.
You never interrupted me.
I give you the magic. I give you the magic. Anyway, speech. Okay, sorry. This one is going way off the rails. Okay, not as off the rails as Show and Tell podcast. That was the greatest off the rails podcast. But anyway, my 2 questions for you is: what is one game where the piece of DLC was jarring because you had to come back to the game and trying to relearn the controls, end up making the experience less enjoyable than you thought it would be?
Okay.
Let's just go with that one. Yeah, let's go with that one. What's that for you, Burkoff?
So probably the Road to Gehenna, which is the DLC for Talos Principle.
I'm sorry, what was the name of it?
Oh my God.
Road to Gehenna.
I thought
My head hurts.
Sorry, I'm so sorry. I thought you said the road to get head.
Yeah.
Yeah, great piece of DLC.
I wasn't the one that threw this off the rails, Mitch. Just that out there.
What? Well, you are the one that has to pick the fantasy type ones with the ones that sound like other things. Sorry, it's the beer.
Yeah. So the road to get head. It wasn't so much that the controls were disorienting or were like hard to get acclimated to again. The difficult thing about that DLC in particular is that the original game has such a nice difficulty curve for learning all of the puzzle techniques and stuff. For me to drop off of that and then the DLC's out, I buy the DLC and I want to jump into it, which I think was like a 6 month or a year gap in between.
Mm-hmm.
when you jump back into the DLC, it expects you to know everything, how all of the mechanics work, without any type of refresher. And so the puzzles are just ridiculously hard, on top of the fact that they're like, of course you know all these mechanics. And it's very jarring, and it's hard to get into. Even for somebody,
Yeah,
as
and
Evan can attest, who played one right after the other.
right, and then yeah. So to add on to that, Burkoff, yeah. So I bought the definitive edition with the DLC. I played the game. I did every puzzle in the game, and I immediately started the DLC. And those, not only would it be difficult for someone to get back into that game and just remember the logic of how the puzzles work, they add stuff to the puzzles, and not only that, those puzzles are mind melting. I quit.
Yeah,
Like
I couldn't get through it,
dude,
and I
I
get
feel
why they
so
did
bad
it.
because
I
yeah.
get why they did it because a lot of people online were like, "Oh, this is too easy," and it was
I beat it with the
easy.
DDR pad in the
Right.
other room, not looking at the screen with a blindfold for some reason. Yeah, it's like so. But I appreciate that they made them harder, but they're so hard. So yeah, if you went into that 6 months later,
Yeah,
like good luck. We should probably tackle that at some point. You and
yeah,
I feel
yeah.
bad that I haven't finished that, but yeah, that is a good choice.
With you talking about playing a game with a DDR like pad, makes me want to go try to look up someone being like a AAA game with like a Guitar Hero guitar or something.
Somebody beat
I beat the
somebody.
Talos Principle.
Somebody beat Cuphead with a fucking DDR pad.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah,
All the power to them. And Evan, when you're saying the Talos Principle, it sounds like I am like that's my band name. I beat it, the Talos Principle.
Yeah, that is my indie band. We are the Talos Principle, and we're on the Road to Get Head tour. So groupies invited. We got a long bus, and so do I. Oh, sorry.
Liam, same question to you.
It's actually funny because them talking about the Talos Principle reminded me of the final part of The Witness. Because
okay.
The Witness, I got all the way through that game. I was very proud of myself for doing such a good job. Final part of that game, oh my god, it's
Yep.
just what a curveball, and I couldn't beat it, and I gave up. Yeah, I've never been so disappointed in my life, quite frankly. But in the same vein as your pick, Matt, in terms of being able to return to a game after you've already played it when the DLC releases, nigh on impossible with the old Hunters DLC in Bloodborne. Like,
Okay.
Oh
oh
my
my,
god, I got my ass kicked. I quit. I couldn't do it.
yeah, I've gone through the game as a whole and still got onto the old Hunters DLC, and it is tough as nails. It is
Brutal.
so
Brutal.
difficult. It's like the developers of the game just thought, let's really fuck with people with this one. You know? let's just really make them feel what despair truly means.
Hey, I heard Johnny calls our game easy. Yeah, let's make him eat those words.
I think like difficulty is a huge part of what makes DLC good or not. You know, like Matt says, it's better to sort of ease you back into things and then get difficult. But then the DLCs just throw you right into the right into the lava pool. Yeah, it's I still have very it's like PTSD from that DLC, quite frankly.
Oh, by the way, for the audio listeners, I tried the
Sculpin.
Sculpin, and I can't put it to words. It's such a weird tasting beer.
Well, after the hoppy
The
lager,
lager.
I can imagine. Yeah, an IPA probably tastes a little strange.
Yeah, it tastes strange, but the art's cool. Yeah, it's like a little koi fish.
Yeah.
My recommendation was on point. I totally knew that beer would be good, even though it's just a name, but I picked it.
Let's go to Dan. Do you got a DLC that's like, wow? That's a rough learning curve to get back into again.
Yeah, and I was just trying to think what it was called. Sorry, that's why I was just having a look. But I'll just tell you about the game. I can't remember the specific DLC. There's been 13 of them. So
Jesus.
but it would be Stellaris for me. So when Stellaris first came out, me and my brother played that game like heavy. Like we had the same galaxy. We found each other. We set up a federation. We did all that. And I think a year later, I could be wrong, they brought out the DLC. But along with the DLC, they brought out, which was story, they brought out all these other mechanics to the game. And obviously, we played it we played it for 6 months and we dropped it. And then we were like, oh yeah, we'll jump back into the DLC. But then the systems they'd then brought online, and that 6 months we hadn't played the game, became so intense. It was basically just didn't bother.
It was like the Galactic Empires or something.
Yeah,
right?
that was it. Yeah, so maybe it was a year or 2 years in. I can't remember. But they basically almost relaunched it, but it was through a DLC, and they changed so much of it and added so many more complicated systems. It's unplayable now. I can occasionally jump back in, and I'm just like, what is this game? It's like a foreign place, and I was loving it. A bit of a shame, really. But yeah, no, for me that would be the game. But I suppose before X's. But yeah, they've really Paradox really wow, insane, made that game pretty insane to where it's just not worth me jumping in again. It's like a completely different game. So
Okay.
that's for me.
Evan, do you got one?
Yeah, I have a past and a future. Future is definitely the Cuphead. When I start the delicious last course, I'm gonna get my ass handed to me.
It's not gonna be delicious. It's gonna be a little tart going into it.
Oh, bitter,
bitter.
disappointing last course. Yeah, you get I don't even know what that thing's called on the dinner plate when you pop open the top and then you look at what's on the silver platter, the silver whatever that's called. I'm not rich.
Not rich.
I don't have a yearly membership to a golf course, but yeah, it's gonna be bad. And I'm just gonna have to relearn Cuphead.
Maybe a sponsor can hook you up. I'm just kidding.
Your house doesn't smell like leather and rich mahogany.
Wait, Her Majesty doesn't sit in a leather throne?
Did anyone just ask me a question? Because all I heard was really bad auto-tune. I have no idea.
Don't worry.
My internet sucks so bad. I can barely hear any.
And what's next?
Okay, so past is initially bad experience led to a great experience was the final Blasphemous DLC, Wounds of Eventide. The one before that was Stir of Dawn. Blasphemous has the best names for everything, by the way. What a gem of a game. So this is a weird one actually because the game comes out in whatever year, 2017. And then Stir of Dawn comes out, so it adds extra bosses. That's when I bought it. And then I looked at an earlier build of that game, and there's just a lot of stuff missing that to me was part of the game because I played it later. I'm like, what? And then when I saw people play through the initial build or the initial release of the game, I felt like, oh, they totally missed out because this wasn't finished. They redid backgrounds, they added characters.
Oh, wow.
That's another thing with DLC where it's technically DLC. So Stir of Dawn was DLC, a legitimately new story, but they patched in stuff. So it's kind of like a law, you hide a law in a law to get it passed. I'm like, wait a minute, I didn't agree to this because you didn't read the fine print. They put patches into the DLC proper, and it changes all this stuff. But getting into Blasphemous, there's a parry system in that game, and if your finger is not used to the parry window, you're gonna get your ass handed to you. So that game really did a number on me in the beginning. But here's the weird thing about Blasphemous. I don't know if you guys, and I want to throw this to you guys, maybe you don't have a good example. Has there ever been a game that released DLC? I'm talking 2 or 3 years later saying this is actually the true ending of the game. Because that's what they did with Blasphemous Wounds of Eventide, which released last December. And we all know on Discord how I had to replay that DLC, the game, 3 times over to get it. But I've never seen a game tout if you want the actual ending to this, Asura's Wrath, they tacked on the end of that
Asura's Wrath?
game. Asura's, yeah. Asura,
That
I
was
think might be the.
PS3, right?
Did you pull that Japanese stuff on me, broski? I'm just kidding. Go ahead. No, you're good.
Whatever. It's like Japanese mixed with like
You're good.
Buddhism.
You're good. You're
so
good.
who
You're
knows
good.
what
Go
the
ahead.
actual name is? But yeah, they actually the game didn't have an actual ending, and you had to pay the DLC to play and see the actual ending. Blasphemous's DLC was free, but it's just so weird that like 3 years later they're like, oh, actually, this is the actual ending of the game.
I mean, I don't
Here
think
you
of
go,
3
have
years
at it.
later, but
You know?
like the only next thing I can think of is Mass Effect, where they fixed the ending, quote unquote,
extended
fixed the
cut.
ending.
Okay.
I think it took like
Sure.
like 3 months or so for them to come out with the new ending.
It was quick. It was pretty fucking quick because I remember
It was within 3
buying the
months, I
game.
swear.
I bought the
Well-
game, the day one, and the extended cut came out, and I was like, "Oh, I'm gonna replay this." Like,
Yeah, I think
Right.
I think it was like maybe a month or two after I finished the game. So and I bought it day 1 2 in college. I definitely may or may not have skipped class to try to finish that game.
Right,
I
and
say,
this is like a very. Go ahead, Liam. Sorry.
Oh, I was just saying, like, slight misconception about the extended cut DLC is it doesn't change the ending. It just
Oh yeah, no, I mean
just expands
It
on it.
expands it.
context to it,
Yeah,
which
I didn't
was
mean to say
initially-
change. So
Oh,
Yeah,
they
because it
added.
just leaves
Sure.
so many things up in the air, and then when you play the extended cut, it's like, oh, okay, I kind of understand what they're trying to.
these
Yeah,
were these
you know.
people were during this time. So that why this sequence makes
Yeah,
total
it gives-
sense.
It gives context to all of your choices throughout the entire
Yeah.
series. Yeah.
Um,
So my honorable mention for that is the Siege of Dragonspear, which is
where are you
it's
getting
not-
these games from, Matt? I'm sorry,
just making
Matthew.
shit up, man.
Matthew, where are you getting these games from?
so it's not really DLC, and it's not really an expansion pack. It's kind of a separate game. But when Beamdog got the rights to do Baldur's Gate, and they redid them and did the enhanced editions, they did their own game in between Baldur's Gate 1 and 2 called The Siege of Dragonspear, and it bridges the gap between the story between the two games. And
That's cool.
Beamdog is headed by a bunch of ex-BioWare guys, so they know what they're talking about. They know what they're doing. But that came out, I want to say, 6 years ago or something, or 5 years ago. And obviously, Baldur's Gate 1 and 2 came out like 2000, 2001. So that's an interesting one where it sort of completes the story and like way after the fact. But they're
You've
sort
got
of
very blurry, Mitch.
yeah.
Fixed it.
But they're sort of inventing the story that's in between the two as well. I don't
Okay.
know.
Cool.
Any last things about DLC, gentlemen? Oh, how about we just do this? What is your favorite DLC of all time?
Oh God.
Regardless of anything. Like, it doesn't matter if it comes in later, the story, it doesn't make sense, all that kind of stuff. What is your absolute favorite DLC of all time?
I'm going Brood War. I had already said it earlier. That's probably my favorite.
Are you sure? Are you sure you're not confusing it with Brew Dogs?
Yes, I'm sure I'm not confusing it.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
All right.
McWomble said last thing, yeah, in the chat. Did we already talk about the Tsushima being
Nah.
the multiplayer being the DLC?
Oh, I guess we didn't. Did
Well,
we
no,
kind of
no,
did?
we
Dan
touched
brought
on
it up in a different
kind of.
context.
Yeah, we touched on it.
I brought it up the fact that Evan hit me in the heart.
Yeah,
and
but
destroyed me.
the concept of like the DLC being a part of the multiplayer DLC being part of like incongruent with the story is irrelevant because it doesn't make sense. If anything, it's actual. I'm sorry. If anything, it's DLC of having the extra island, the Iki Island. That one kind of makes a little more sense because the context is you didn't eradicate all the Mongols yet from the island, which is kind of something where your mission is set up to be when you finish the game. You're like, oh, well, you haven't gotten rid of all the Mongols yet. You may have gotten rid of the leader, but you didn't get rid of all of them. So you can travel to Iki. You can do that, and then also go to Iki Island. That's the point. That's why I said juxtapose. I'm not saying you're wrong, McWomble. I'm saying you're right. Jesus, stay with me. I'm making fun of Matthew for you, my friend. Just stay with me. Stay with me. Stay with me. Anyone else got their favorite DLC? Let's go to Liam. What's your favorite DLC of all time? All time.
Actually, really hard to answer.
Too bad. You got to answer it.
I don't feel at all confident because there's just so many DLC. I'm sure there's some I just ain't thinking about. But as of now, I'll just say Undead Nightmare because Undead Nightmare is just
that's very good.
For people that don't know which game,
Red Dead Redemption.
Okay, thank you. I'll go. I really, really love Shadow Broker. I know I hate that I have to play the whole game all over again, but the fact that I was absolutely shocked. Well, first of all, I was like, I played with Liara. Well, actually, my relationship.
Did you romance Miranda?
Well, here's the thing.
She's the one I always romance.
Well, here's the thing.
And so do I. One time I did.
Calm it down, Matt. Here's the thing with Mass Effect and me, which is actually quite fascinating. So like Mass Effect came out when I was still in, well, I want to say late middle school, early high school, and I bought and I bought the game.
Oh my God, Mitch, we get it. You are so fucking young.
You're a young guy, Mitch.
Yep, gotta show them young guns.
Continue.
Okay. Anyways, so for me, oh my God, yeah, okay. McWomble, I'll tell yours in a second. The reason why it was so fascinating was I just bought the game because I was like, oh, this game looks kind of cool. And then little did I know after I like beat the game, there's this whole interweb about like how this game is one of the most amazing games in the world. And I was like, I just bought it because it looked nice. And then all of a sudden I'm like, I bought an amazing RPG by accident. But anyway, I played the original on Xbox before I played the sequel for PlayStation. And I did romance Liara in the first game, and I actually really liked that character. I like that was the kind of relationship I wanted in real life anyway. So like that was my kind of girl anyway. So when I went to the second game, I was like, no, Liara, and I was so disappointed. I was like, well, I just gotta, I still want to be loyal to Liara, but I can still mess around for just one time, So I may or may not banged Jack. Just the Jack's one
a good choice.
Just the one night stand, the one night stand. I didn't do the
Jack's
whole.
A good choice. She's a hard one to romance too, because you have to have a certain level of renegade.
Well, I didn't want to romance her. I just one and done. So and plus it was my first playthrough, so I was just kind of like trying new things, and I was like, okay, you could do that, cool, let's try it. And then it was shocking because I played the DLC of Shadow Broker, and the moment I was like trying to be like, yeah, I found you again, and I really want to stay in a relationship with you because I really loved our connection. And she goes, you had sex with her? And I'm like, oh shit, I can't believe I made that mistake. Because I wonder what would have happened if I wonder what would have happened if I didn't. And so when I'm going through this second playthrough, which I haven't gotten back to yet, which is my Mass Effect Ultimate Edition playthrough, I want to do it where I'm actually like loyal to Liara, and I do want to see what happens in the DLC if I try to like get back with her in the Shadow Broker DLC.
Can I?
You can spoil it for me. Whatever. Go ahead.
There's no
nightmare.
Like, there's like no special trophy or anything for it.
I don't want a trophy. I just want her.
I'm just saying there's no like incentive.
I know.
Because I looked it up.
I had a feeling. I had a feeling it would, no matter what, she would have turned you down. And I'll just and you know what? It was meant to be anyways because I romanticized her in the final game, so it all worked out.
It's not that she turns you down. It's just that you miss out on romancing another character in Mass Effect 2.
Sorry, what?
So you can not romance any other character in Mass Effect 2, and you can stick with Liara, right?
Right.
She's not really a romance
as all good
option.
People should do.
But she's not really a romance option.
I don't care about the sex. I care about the relationship. Like she's not mad at me because I had sex with someone else.
I'll let you have it.
Okay.
I'm James T. Kirk all the way.
Okay. And then here's Evan, I'm gonna answer the question for you for your favorite DLC. Because it's definitely the Breath of the Wild DLC, because that was the best story DLC I've ever seen in a game, like ever, like forever.
It's really good, but well, it has the problem of giving you a fucking motorcycle at the end of the DLC when you've already played 150 hours of the game. So it's like, oh, this is useless.
Right.
Come on, man! Really, really.
And it's kind of a minus.
Really? Come
Really?
on.
It's like horse armor.
Come on, man. Which McWalmo says
It
Mitch
sucks.
wants to date a blue squid-headed underage. Wait, she wasn't underage. What? She was...
Ungendered.
Oh, whoopsies.
Ungendered.
Sorry.
Gendered.
Sorry. It's.
They're both in their society.
I'm trying to read these really fast, and it's not helping.
Slightly intoxicated.
I am not intoxicated. Calm down, fellas. What? This was like 4%. This is 7%. I'm not intoxicated.
Yeah, he's intoxicated.
I drink responsibly, fellas.
I
Responsibly.
drink. That's what anyone in the bar who's drunk would tell you. I drink responsibly. I tell you.
Mitch drinks responsibly. He just doesn't drink that often. So
No, that's true.
what it
That's
is,
true.
yeah.
when
Yeah,
he does, it hits
But
him.
When
I'm gonna
I'm
go-
truly intoxicated, you will know I am not intoxicated, fellas. Sorry, Dan. I went to Evan. He didn't.
Okay.
Then I'll come to you. I promise. Evan, what's your DLC? Because I went to you already.
All right, quickly, the only answer is Hearts of Stone, because I think that's the best side story that I've ever played in a video game. But shout outs to Wounds of Eventide and Blasphemous, and also shout out to Squatch Gaming Official and the Inhuman One for all the beautiful Blasphemous lore that I've probably listened to 3 times just to re-understand what's going on in Blasphemous for the ending to make sense, because it is very esoteric and strange.
Always your famous last words. Yeah, maybe you should just get rid of it from your dictionary. This will be very quick is always something you say constantly. And sometimes you are right, and sometimes you are dead wrong.
That is actually true, Mitch. However, that explanation was probably a good 25 seconds.
Yes,
that's not that bad.
That was pretty good. I'll give you that. You that.
Okay.
But I was just
Sometimes
like,
it's not.
Sometimes it's not.
Sometimes it is not.
Dan,
Right.
I said I would go to you. What's up?
Yeah, so I don't know if mine actually constitutes as DLC, but I'm going to have it. And mine is StarCraft 2: Heart of the Swarm.
Oh,
Because in theory, StarCraft came out as Wings of Liberty, and then they released 2 DLC campaigns afterwards. Heart of the Storm being my favourite campaign DLC, and Legacy of the Void being the worst campaign DLC straight after. So, but there we go. And Wings of Liberty, reasonable. And obviously now it's a complete game. You can get all 3 together.
We've been talking for so long, I can't remember. Liam, did I get to you?
Yeah, but I can keep talking if you like.
But it's funny that Blizzard has taken over the podcast because Matt picked StarCraft 1. Yeah.
Oh, sorry, saying Microsoft took over the conversation.
Well, yeah, now they have. Yeah, exactly. Mitch's favorite.
You boxies. That's the new thing. It's Sony ponies and boxies because you're Xboxers.
It's Xbox.
Xbox. Actually.
No. I'm calling them boxers because they just want to put up a fight and they just spend a lot of money.
All right, so should we call the episode?
Excuse me. Don't do my job for me.
Thanks very much for coming, everyone.
Just because you think I can't do my job doesn't mean you do it for me. What are you doing?
Finish the podcast. He's too inebriated.
What are you talking about, guys? First off, you can't say that because I haven't even set up the outro music yet. You can't. We talk about this all the time.
So you got to get on it, man.
Well, I'm getting on it.
You should have already been on it when I was talking.
Wow. Whoa. Okay, calm down. No, because I have to do this. Thank you for listening to us at Pixel Pints. We are live at twitch.tv/Pixel Pints every single weekend. If you want to find out when we go live, you can go to find us on Twitter, which is pixel_pints, or go to Instagram at Pixel Pints Pod. We archive every single episode here at Pixel Pints on YouTube. Just go find us at Pixel Pints. Look for the nice green mug with some pixel foam coming out of the top. And then, boom, Bob's your uncle. You found the podcast. You also can find us on any of your podcasting services. Check there. Hopefully you listen to us. Hopefully you enjoy it. I know we're a little wacky and wacky, especially when I host, because I'm not as smooth as McWomble, and he probably would agree with that comment. But, you know, we do our job the best way we can. And for all my humble guests, Dan, Evan, Burkoff, and Liam, what is the words? You say it for me, Burkoff. What is it?
And we're out.
That's right, fellas.
All right, that was an awesome way. You wrapped it up nicely.
You did. Sorry for making it clear.
I did not.
I just felt like
I hit the wrong button. You jinxed it. I hit the wrong button. You totally jinxed it. I went to the beer transition instead of the outro.